Welcome to Unveiling Mythical Legends. Hello everyone. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the little bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming mysterious and incredible content. Today we're going to talk about something super mind-bending. If it really exists, it could completely overturn our understanding of the universe. Are you ready?
What we're talking about this time is the Akashic Records. When you hear that name, you might think it only exists in supernatural novels, but it's actually an ancient and profound concept. Some say it's the library of the universe, others call it God's hard drive, and some even claim it's the consciousness of the universe itself.
Wait, are you saying that the universe itself is conscious, and it's keeping a record of everything about us? Even that weird thought I just had?
Exactly. Even the thought you just had is in there. In theory, it doesn't just record what we're doing now, but the past, the future, and even every possible scenario. The dream you had yesterday, experiences from your past lives, even the fact that you chose not to drink coffee today, it's all stored in some way.
Wow, isn't this insane? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel. Has anyone actually claimed to have seen the Akashic Records?
Yes, and the most famous example in history is Edgar Cayce. Cayce lived in the United States from the late 19th century to the mid-20th century. On the surface, he seemed like an ordinary person, taking photographs and living a normal life, but he had an extraordinary ability. When entering a hypnotic state, he could diagnose illnesses and even provide treatment plans, with remarkable accuracy. Over his lifetime, he performed more than 14,000 readings, all meticulously recorded, and many of them are still accessible today.
That ability alone is amazing. He was more accurate than doctors?
Yes, but what's even more incredible is that in this hypnotic state, he could speak about historical details that would be completely impossible to know. People would ask him about civilizations thousands of years ago, and he could describe specific individuals, what they did, the clothes they wore, even what their houses looked like. If someone asked about Atlantis, he could describe its energy systems, how it operated, and even the reasons for its destruction.
And when he woke up, did he remember any of it?
Not at all. He was just an ordinary person, without higher education and with no study of these subjects. So where did all that knowledge come from? He himself said it came from the Akashic Records.
So what exactly does Akashic Records mean? It sounds like a computer hard drive, but it's not something physical?
Haha, right. The Akashic Records aren't a tangible library. They're more like a field of information, a kind of cosmic energy field where all knowledge and events in the universe are recorded. The name Akasha comes from Sanskrit, meaning ether or space. It can be understood as a form of energy or consciousness pervading the universe. And records is the collection of all events, thoughts, and emotions. In other words, it's the universe recording everything about itself.
Do other cultures have a concept like this?
Yes. Ancient Indian texts mention Akasha as one of the 5 elements of the universe. Buddhism talks about the alaya vijnana, the storehouse consciousness that holds all karmic seeds. Christian mysticism speaks of the Book of Life, which records every person's actions. Different cultures use different words, but the core idea is similar. The universe has an information field that records everything.
So what does it actually look like? Can we see it?
Cayce and others describe the Akashic Records as not a physical space, not a library lined with books, but as an information field or an energetic dimension. When your consciousness tunes to a certain frequency, you can access this field. Some people describe it as suddenly seeing all things interconnected, with all information flowing at once, but without chaos. Whatever you want to know automatically presents itself.
So the Akashic Records seem like the universe's super database, even storing every possibility. From a scientific perspective, does that make sense?
Actually, some scientific theories suggest it's possible, though they haven't been fully accepted by the mainstream. One example is holographic theory. Physicist David Bohm proposed that the universe might be a giant hologram, where each part contains the information of the whole. It's like a holographic photo. If you tear off a small piece, you can still see the entire image, though not as clearly as the original.
So you're saying that every corner of the universe contains all the information? That sounds a lot like the description of the Akashic Records, doesn't it?
Exactly. This gives the Akashic records a scientific basis for imagination. Another example is zero-point energy theory. Even at absolute zero, the vacuum still has energy fluctuations. Some scientists believe that this quantum vacuum field might not just be an ocean of energy, but also an ocean of information. All particles constantly interact with this field, which in theory could contain the historical states of every particle.
This feels like a quantum version of the universe's hard drive. But what about biology?
Biology has a similar concept called the Morphic Field. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake proposed that it's a field recording the habits and patterns of a species. For example, when one rat learns to navigate a maze, other rats in different places learn faster, even without any physical contact. Sheldrake suggested that the first rat's experience is stored in the Morphic Field, and the other rats can access it. Sounds a lot like the concept of the Akashic records, doesn't it?
Ah, right. Even rats can tap into the universal database. But what about psychology? Does it have a corresponding concept?
Yes. Psychologist Carl Jung proposed the idea of the collective unconscious. He said that beyond the personal unconscious, humans share a psychological layer containing archetypes, such as the hero, the mother, or the wise old man, symbolic patterns. This helps explain the similarities in myths across different cultures. Some say the collective unconscious is essentially the psychological version of the Akashic records.
Wow, so physics, biology, and psychology all point to a similar concept. A kind of information field that transcends the individual.
Exactly. From these different perspectives, the Akashic records aren't entirely imaginary. They could be a phenomenon of the universe itself. It's just that our science hasn't fully uncovered it yet.
So what does it tell us about time and causality?
That's the interesting part. We usually think of time as linear, past is gone, the future hasn't arrived, and only the present is real. But the Akashic records suggest that all moments exist simultaneously. Past, present, and future are like a spatial dimension, and our consciousness is just locked onto a specific point.
In that case, does causality get more complicated too?
Yes. If the future is also recorded, it could influence the past. Some quantum experiments, like the delayed choice experiment, even suggest that observing future behavior can affect past quantum states. It's as if the universe is a self-consistent system, where time and causality aren't one way but mutually influencing each other.
What about free will? If everything is recorded, do we still have choices?
There's actually an interesting perspective. The records contain countless possibilities, but which one manifests in reality depends on your choices and observations. In other words, we're still creators, we're just operating within a field of possibilities that already exists.
So can the Akashic records let us rewrite history?
Not by literally going back and changing events, but by changing your understanding of the past, altering its meaning in your life. Some psychological methods are based on this principle. By reinterpreting past events and changing your emotional response to them, your present life changes as well. In a way, at the level of the Akashic records, you're choosing a different past.
Wow, this is crazier than any sci-fi novel. Are there real cases that support this?
Absolutely. Casey predicted both world wars. Although the exact years were a bit off, the general direction was correct. He predicted that India and China would become world powers, back when both were still colonies. He also foresaw the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which was confirmed only after his death. Even regarding Atlantis, he predicted some remnants would be discovered in the 1960s. While not fully verified, some underwater stone structures were indeed found in the Bahamas.
Besides Casey, has anyone else been able to access the Akashic records?
Yes. For example, Rudolf Steiner, the founder of anthroposophy, could also read the Akashic records and wrote extensively about human history and spiritual evolution. And the genius inventor Nikola Tesla, some believe that much of his inspiration came directly from this information field, with complete device models appearing in his mind, even tested mentally, before being physically built.
Does the Akashic records have any practical significance for our daily lives?
This is the interesting part. First, it helps you realize that every thought and every action isn't insignificant. Even if you think it's just a passing thought, or a simple choice, from the perspective of the Akashic records, it's a data update for the universe. Each moment is shaping larger possibilities.
Wow, so every little choice can affect the entire universe's record? That sounds kind of stressful.
Haha, yes, but from another perspective, it also gives life more meaning. You're not just living for yourself, the universe is experiencing a part of itself through you. Every joy, sorrow, and struggle becomes part of the records, a way for the universe to record itself.
So can we also gain psychological healing from the Akashic records?
Yes, that's one reason many people engage with the Akashic records. For example, through meditation or specific practices, some can see the full picture of past events and understand why things happened. Your emotional reactions and attachments to the past affect your present life. When you understand the past at the records level, its impact on your current reality diminishes, and your pain can be released.
So it's a bit like a form of psychotherapy, just on a higher dimension?
Exactly. Some people even explore past life experiences to understand patterns in this life, and thereby change their behavior and decisions. Even if you don't believe in past lives, this approach can still help release psychological burdens.
Are there any dangers to it?
Absolutely. The biggest danger is misunderstanding. Some might think, since everything is recorded and the future already exists, I don't need to make any effort. That's completely wrong. The records contain countless possibilities, but which one manifests still depends on your choices in the moment. In other words, your free will still matters.
And what's the second danger?
That some people might pretend they can read the Akashic records to gain trust or money. This happens a lot in spiritual circles. So even if someone claims they can connect to the universe's database, we need to maintain critical thinking and use our own judgment to verify it, rather than trusting blindly.
So the information in the records is kind of like looking through a filter?
Exactly. The information each person perceives is filtered through their own consciousness and belief system. It's like wearing tinted glasses, you see the colors differently. This is also why different people's experiences of the Akashic records can vary.
Wow, after hearing all this, the world feels so much bigger and life feels different.
Exactly. Whether the Akashic records truly exist or are just a metaphor for how we understand the world, the insights they offer are profound. They remind us of the importance of consciousness, the significance of our choices, and our connection with the universe.
Let's wrap up today's topic here. Do you think the Akashic records exist? Or have you had a similar experience?
Be sure to leave a comment and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, so more people can explore this mysterious information library of the universe together.